It's almost overwhelming, just like that day was, and museum visitors should be prepared for how powerful it all is all over again. It's a story, a remembrance that starts at 8:46 a.m., the first impact, when the world ended for so many people.
It looks like intense smoke.
It's taken over a decade, and while a tall new building now towers over this site, the remembrance takes place below. The twin memorial pools at ground level and the new museum underground, 7 stories down.
We spent a lot of time listening.
Alice Greenwald is the woman in charge of this gargantuan yet delicate project. Come in and we are met with a powerful visual. Our guided tour started with the first thing you see, a battered and rusted remnant of the old structure, the parts of the exterior spine of the original World Trade Center, shaped like tuning forks, known as tridents. It's now a towering and striking reminder.
We were able to put the pieces back together based on the original construction stamps that were still on the steel.
Preparations for President Obama's visit are going on alongside what is perhaps the most striking feature of the museum. At the very bottom, at bedrock, the wall that was built for the foundation of the World Trade Center, designed to hold back the Hudson River back when this was a construction site in the 1960s. The wall suffered cracks and leaks after the impact of the attack, but it held. Had this wall not held, we'd be talking about something entirely different in Lower Manhattan.
Well, a much greater tragedy.
And this is about holding, the country held. And then there are the exhibits, all artifacts big and small. The megaphone made famous by the president standing with a fireman on a pile of rubble.
And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
The window from an airliner, the so-called survivor's stairs where so many people ran to escape that day. The massive broadcast antenna from the roof. I see ladder 3. And a barely recognizable artifact from a fire department that lost 343 of its bravest in one day.
Every one of the firefighters who rode on this truck to the World Trade Center, who responded that day, perished.
Some of the items are so personal, from the tactile mementos to the more haunting, the recorded voices of the victims, mostly on voicemails, leaving behind their last words and donated by the families. Among them, Brian Sweeney on board Flight 175 out of Boston and fearing the worst, calling home with an incredible, almost methodical calm in his voice.
Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely fuck you.
His widow, Julie Sweeney Roth, is proud to have donated what is now her last memory of her husband.
This might sound odd to some people, but I'm glad I didn't answer the phone because I have his voice and his message and his calmness and his thoughts and his love for me and his love for his family forever.
How often do you cry?
It's such a good question. You know, I think we do steel ourselves, those of us who work on this day in and day out. And then every once in a while, you see something or you listen to some of the audio and you are back in that place.
It's all here. They are all here, the nearly 3,000 people who died in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. A remembrance so bracing and powerful, there are exit doors along the way for those who don't wish to continue. This is a tough experience.
It is a tough experience. It's a museum about loss, it's a museum about pain, it's a museum about terror, it's a museum about history. But it's also about the resilience that we have in ourselves as not just individual human beings, but as a society, to rebuild, to recover, to renew, to go forward, and to always remember as we do so.